The Kilrathi are a race of slimy cat puppets that want to eradicate the human race. And oh, if they succeed, we're totally fucked. But there is a ragtag bunch of humans in some spaceships that will try to save us all from the space terror. I'm John Renton with the retro view of Wing Commander from 1999 from the creator of the Wing Commander games. Well, the director of the Wing Commander games, but really, semantics. Creator, director, whatever. The guy that had a big hand in making the PC game series Wing Commander, Chris Roberts, helmed this movie that was so goddamn successful, he never directed another full-length feature. Look at his IMDb. He never fucking did. And boy, when you see this movie, you definitely find out why. Let me know your thoughts on this movie in the comments, please. So, I was 18 years old when this movie came out, and I reviewed it for my school paper. Because before I started doing video stuff, really before video reviews were really a full-on thing, because in 1999, I know, prehistoric, smartphones, YouTube, none of that shit was invented. And also, I hated this movie at the time because for a $30 million budget, this space epic just wasn't very good. Phoned in dialogue, terrible acting from a cast that could do a whole lot better than this. Freddie Prinze Jr., who was fresh off of I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And also Matthew Lillard. Way before he became Shaggy. Not the It Wasn't Me Shaggy, but Zoink Scoob! Yeah, that's the best Shaggy impression you're gonna fucking get. Like, wow, man! But anyway, that's the best you can get. And Saffron Burrows, who also was in Deep Blue Sea this same year. Deep Blue Sea was infinitely better, and it had something to do with genetically engineered sharks. And also Samuel Jackson getting eaten halfway through. Sorry for the spoilers, but the movie's been out for 20 plus years. Also, David Warner was in this. They had notable other famous names on the crew. Visual effects supervisor Chris Brown, way before he had many hits, and also in music. Wait, no, not that Chris Brown. And also co-executive producer Neil Young. Wait, no, not that Neil Young either. No, these people just happen to have famous names, and we thought, let's attach them to this movie. And it wasn't good. With the passage of time, while there are elements, the acting and everything and all this stuff that is pretty goddamn bad and phoned in, the worst offense for this movie is it's aggressively boring. So goddamn, you would honestly be, remiss if you didn't snooze off during this. This was that goddamn boring because maybe it makes more sense if you played more of the games. And granted, I played the games when I was younger, a couple of them, and they were fine strategy games with the full motion video and some good voice acting and everything, but they were still there just to be played on your PC, where you eventually could turn them off. And then you're trying to take a Wing Commander story or a space story and shove it into 90 goddamn minutes, 90, 95 minutes, whatever. And you populate it with some actors that were certainly, fine at the time. You did have, and I'm going to get this name wrong, but Tasheki Cairo, who was a good character actor. He was in The Core. He was in plenty of other stuff. He was in plenty of other stuff that was way worse than his actual acting. He's actually pretty good. Some of the movies is in less than good, but that being said, it is what it is. You gotta act in the bad stuff to get to the better stuff. See my review of Dungeons & Dragons when Jeremy Irons was in it because he needed to pay for a castle. Don't blame him. So yeah, based on a popular series of games comes this sci-fi schlock, and it is bad. It's also boring. Bad, boring, and bland. In fact, that pretty much could be the best way to describe it. So the plot, such as it is, involves Freddie Prinze Jr.'s, I'm just going to say Freddie Prinze's because that's a whole lot easier to say, Lieutenant Blair, who is seen as a half-breed because his dad was part of an army that, the Confederation Army that did what they did. They fought in a space battle. And his mother was also a pilgrim, one of the first explorers into space. Apparently. Now, I say that because this movie is set apparently in the Earth year 2654. So we just got around to space travel 100 years before this, 50 years before this, because Freddie Prinze Jr. is supposed to be, 25 in this? We're supposed to believe his parents died when he was 5. So we're supposed to believe space travel just suddenly happened and we got all these goddamn spaceships, or they didn't think the story through and people have just been going into space forever and a day that's never. And they're doing a whole bunch of other shit. And we have pockets of people all over the goddamn world, all over the universe. And we also have these slimy cat puppets called the Kilrathi. I would really like to know who looked at that, setup for the creatures and said, yeah, that's perfect. Let's put that on there. I understand it only had a $30 million budget and only made $11.5 million. It was only released in the U.S. and Canada. If it was released anywhere in the world, in the rest of the civilized world, well, they didn't have any box office receipts. So the movie didn't do all that well, which I'm not really shocked by. And yeah, we get various recycled sound effects, like the X-Wing sound effects that are kind of put through a filter that sounds like a cat being put across a goddamn cheese grater, or a cheese grater being put across a goddamn speaker. Something involving the cheese grater that would be less painful than listening to this dialogue. And these Kilrathi get this, these cat puppets, the space cat puppets. I'll just say that because that's what they are. They get a hold of this Navcom thing that has coordinates and will help them jump through these black hole space-time continuum things, these neutron stars, these dwarf stars, all this spacey talk. They'll jump through these holes to get to Earth and attack Earth. And apparently they needed this weird, transparent Rubik's Cube thing to fucking do it. Or that would make a transparent Rubik's Cube. It looked like it was literally a car battery with a couple extra lights on it. There was not a lot of thought put into this movie. And Matthew Lillard, of course, being his most Matthew Lillard at this point. And I like Matthew Lillard. I liked him in Scream. I liked him in the Scooby-Doo movies. I think he's a pretty damn terrific actor. He really is. Freddie Prinze Jr. did what he could. He's also a former WWE writer. And Saffron Burrows is fucking beautiful. Still is. I would, and you would too. So, how was the rest of this movie? Well, basically, they hop around to space and stuff like that. People spout cliches. They do this kind of stuff. A couple of people fall in love. Matthew Lillard's character and also this other, this woman named Rosie. And then they're in a space battle. He tries to get cute. Her ship gets fucked. And then she crashes and she dies. Because he's a smart person. There also is this whole thing about, Lieutenant Blair, Freddie Prinze's character, being seen as this half-breed, because pilgrims got this big head after they explored space because they could navigate this stuff and understand space better than other people or whatever. It was never fully fucking explained by Taggart. Cairo's character, I'm certain I totally got that name wrong. But he explains, Freddie Prinze, yes, you are a descendant of this, and so am I. It turns out that he is. And also, people just do space stuff, and it seems like some characters die, but then they don't, because who gives a shit? Convenient plot device. How's that? Space magic. Oh, there are these shields. Wait, our missiles can get through space magic. That's literally it. It's just fucking space magic. We just start doing shit, and start blowing shit up, and a lot of shit blows up. 21 minutes in, we actually have, oh, I'm your wing commander. Oh, wow, we have a title right there. We gotta save the Earth, and then we save the universe. That's pretty much how that works. As goes Earth, so goes the universe. And then, basically, Freddie Prinze, Matthew Lillard, they are tasked with trying to get this Navcom thing back from these Kilrathi, these slimy cat puppets, and make sure that these coordinates don't get them to Earth before they can get to them. But there's like a 2-hour window. You gotta buy us 2 hours, because we're giving them all she got, Captain. Man, every space cliche and a whole bunch of stuff, they're just shouting numbers and shouting things and shouting quadrants and shouting stuff that doesn't make any sense. Again, this might make more sense if you played the games, but for a novice or somebody that, I don't know, might just want to embrace the fact that this is based on a set of video games. Oh, no, let's do this. Let's just make it ridiculous. Now, yes, there are video games that, butcher the source material. Oh, hi, Super Mario Brothers. I didn't see you there. Double Dragon. Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Blood Rain. A whole lot of these movies actually butcher the source material. House of the Dead. Glow in the Dark. Okay, there are a lot of video game movies that kind of do that, but the whole point is, you can make something based on video games and still make it accessible Or you can just make it as boring as possible to the point where none of these characters mean anything. Everything's cliche. People lose a love interest and they lose their confidence and they have to regain their confidence. Saffron Burrows and Freddie Prinze Jr. fall in love. How could you not want to get with Saffron Burrows? Or Saffron Burrows, however it's said. There was this one funny line about artificial intelligence. Forget your artificial intelligence or we're all dead. Aha, my wedding night. Except I'm not married, so I don't know why I said that. So, they have to all separate because they make the bold decision after being told not to send their fires out, that they send their fires out. The ship almost gets destroyed. It has to hide. And then other people get separated. And then Freddie Prinze has to go alone and jump through this goddamn thing because he is the descendant of a pilgrim mother. He can apparently do this. Did not give anybody disease blankets or anything in space. He just went through and did his stuff and managed to get this box, or he managed to go with people to get this box. They were dressed up like space lobsters for whatever goddamn reason. They get this box, the navigation, the jump coordinates, and all that stuff, and they use it against the slimy cat puppet people to basically screw them over. Instead of them being able to jump to Earth, he somehow outsmarts them in a small little spaceship-y thing, a little jet. The jets, by the way, look like World War II fighter jets, and I don't understand why. I don't know if that was a thing that was supposed to be prevalent in the Wing Commander games or what. I don't really give a shit. It was a foolish look. It looked stripped down and ridiculous, and it was also a very bland movie. Bland in the sense that I had to come up with some kind of musical intro just to get myself into doing a review that's probably going to end up being infinitely shorter than others because there isn't a lot to this. At one point, before this freaking battle happens, where they dress up like space lobsters and take out the space slimy cat puppets, there's this breach in the hull, and all this oxygen starting to get sucked out and everything. Matthew Lillard and Freddie Prinze, they get saved. But then suddenly, this door flies there and stops it, and because science, they're suddenly fine. Not like all the oxygen wouldn't have been immediately sucked out of that whole thing, that whole room right there. Now they all would have suffocated. No. Saffron Burrows, her ship ends up getting going tits up, so she gets in a pod. But the pod's only got an hour of air, but she says, "Go on and do this thing, Freddie Prinze. You can do it. I believe in you." And she decides to do that. He decides to go off, even though he could save her. And then they decide to have one brief space battle where they get their missiles and suddenly can shoot through the shields. How can they shoot through the shields? Space magic. That's pretty much it. You just suddenly shoot through there. They couldn't before, but now they can because plot device. And then Freddie Prinze warps ahead and then makes a ship warp and then makes the slimy cat puppet thing warp while they get assaulted in a space battle. Since they're coming one by one, single file, they can't warn the other because you can't yell back at somebody, "Oi, don't do anything stupid," and "Don't come forward, no, don't send them back down to Earth," and then the Cloverfield monster reaches up from the clouds. In the Cloverfield paradox, by the way, at the end of that, how in the world was Earth standing if the Cloverfield monster was that tall? So anyway, let's get back to Wing Commander and finish this up. Stuff blew up. Space stuff blew up. That's pretty much what this movie was. I mean, eventually, after the bland characters, the slimy cat puppets, and other stuff doesn't work, let's just blow shit up. The Michael Bay philosophy. And it looks hopeless for him. And then, nope, everybody guns down the slimy cat puppets, and, oh, Saffron Burrows is fine. They kiss, and there we go. That's really about it. Wing Commander is shit. It's also boring. It makes me angry because this could have actually been something, and it's not the worst video game movie I've seen, but it is one of the most boring. The worst video game movie I've seen, I might end up doing Mortal Kombat Annihilation because I hate myself. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.